Hey guys, I am on my way home from a big YouTube event where I taught a session on how to get discovered on YouTube, how to get more views, how to get more YouTube subscribers, how to grow your channel, how to reach more people with a message that you're spreading that could impact them and change their lives. It was awesome. I had a great time presenting, and thankfully they were awesome enough to let me record it for you guys and share the whole entire session with you guys here on this channel. So here's my session. Take lots of notes. I hope it helps you grow your channel, and at the end I have a special resource for you guys. How are you guys? Good morning. 11 o'clock, you guys, impressive, especially those of you guys who are Pacific time. I know this is like an extra hour earlier for you guys, so it's good to see you. My name's Tim, in case we haven't met before, and I'm looking forward to hanging out with you guys.
Yay, Tim!
Woohoo! So how many of you guys would say, like, this is the boot camp track, so you're like, how many of you guys are just getting started on YouTube? Brand new. Okay, most of you, awesome. And how many of you guys would say you're like 6 months or less? Okay, about a quarter of you, around like a year or less. Okay, so most of you guys have been doing this, like half of you have been doing this more than a year. Let's say in terms of like monthly views, how many of you guys are doing like less than 100,000 views per month? Okay, perfect. All right, so this is gonna apply to most of you guys. This is gonna be awesome. So the boot camp track, we are focusing on those beginning tactics of how do we first just get discovered. We're gonna start at the very foundational level here and work with you guys to get through some of these things that might seem impossible, but hopefully by the end of our time here, you'll have a good idea of at least how to get started so people start discovering your content, finding your stuff, subscribing to your channel, becoming a fan, and all that kind of stuff. So this is gonna be awesome. We're gonna have a lot of fun. In case we haven't met before, my name is Tim. I own this company called Video Creators. And for me, YouTube started in 2006, so about 11 years ago now. I heard of this place called YouTube, uploaded my very first video. I called it test video. So you know I put a lot of creative juice into this. You know, it's like 30 seconds long, just me sitting in my apartment and with like one of those 8mm cameras. You guys know who those are? Like this is like a used magnetic tape that would eat like half the time and you'd lose most of your photos and have to start over. Really annoying. I had Windows Movie Maker. It was awesome. You know, it was free. It was on my computer, and that's how I got started. And at that time, there was no such thing as vlogging per se. That wasn't a word that had been termed yet. But I was in Dallas, living halfway across the country from my family who was back in Philadelphia area. And I wanted to, I thought this would be a good way to introduce my girlfriend at the time to my family back home. So we started going out, just making little videos of us going out on dates, going out to eat, going to the park, going out to movies, things like that. And back then it was just as weird as it is today to walk around talking to a camera like it's a human being, you know? But we did it, and we just kind of kept going. Then we got engaged, and that went up on YouTube to everything from our wedding to our honeymoon, our first house, first job, everything. And we just kind of kept going. And today my wife is over here in the corner with the camera, and we've been married 11 years now. We have 6 kids. Our oldest will be 8 next week, and we're pregnant with baby number 7 on the way. So we somehow figured out how to cram 7 kids into 8 years. Twins helped a little bit, the identical twin girls, but we've been full-time on YouTube now for about 4.5 years. Before that, I quickly got pushed into the industry side of YouTube as we were doing some of these family videos, and other people started to comment on them. I'm like, who are you? Like, where'd you come from? Why are you watching our videos? And then before long, there was like more people commenting and more people talking, and I was like, who are all these people? So I started trying to figure it out. And at that time, the industry, well, it wasn't really an industry yet. It was just, you know, a few people having fun. There was no partner program yet on YouTube. Google didn't own it yet, anything like that. And some of these other people were trying to figure it out too, and people are going to them, and they're like, we don't know, but this guy Tim Schmoyer is trying to figure it out. You should go talk to him. And so from that point on, I very quickly started studying audience development on YouTube. And before long, I was working for a company, doing it for their clients full time. And then when that gig ended, they said, Tim, we love you, but this position is going to be gone in about 6 months. So I took that 6 months. I started a new channel called Video Creators, and in 6 months we had 3,000 subscribers, and it was generating about $10,000 a month, which was awesome. And I thought, man, I should have quit my job a long time ago. And since then, now supports a small team of us, and we just love working with people like you guys, helping you guys grow your YouTube audiences, not just for the sake of money or views or popularity or anything, but ultimately because it's an amazing platform to reach people with a message that can really change their life. And I have a lot of stories I could tell you about that. But first of all, let's talk about how do we even get to those people in the first place, right? So we're going to go through a lot of content here. Normally, this is something we would take like a few days to talk about. So we're gonna stay pretty basic level, get into some intermediate things here, but just help you guys like these foundational principles that you need to know in order to really start growing an audience on YouTube. You guys probably know you're up against a lot of competition. There are over 400 hours of content uploaded to YouTube every minute. Okay. So that's a lot. Just do the math in your head, it adds up really quick. And how do you make your video stand out amongst all of that, right? So that's what we want to do here today. So in order to get discovered on YouTube, what it really comes down to is how well do your videos help YouTube accomplish their goals? Does anybody here have an idea what YouTube's goal is?
More hours watched.
Yeah, more money, more hours watched. More ads in front of more people, yeah. So the better your videos help Google accomplish a few things, the more they're gonna like your videos and the more they'll surface them. So here's, this isn't official, this is the way I see it. What YouTube's goal is get people to come to YouTube, to spend as much time there as possible, engaging with as many videos as possible, watching as much content as possible, getting as many ad impressions as possible, right? And the more your video contributes to helping Google accomplish that goal, the more they want to favor your content. So get people to come to YouTube and spend as much time there as possible. That's YouTube's goal. So YouTube promotes videos that help them with these things, and they measure them in what's called viewer signals. And we're going to talk about 3 big ones here today. But the 3 main ones is watch time. That is, do people watch your videos? And then 2, session watch time, which is what do people do as a result of watching your videos? Do they watch more videos? Do they leave YouTube? Do they get bored and stop? And then the 3rd one is, and do your videos bring people back to YouTube to watch more? So they want to favor content that's bringing people back to YouTube. They want to favor content that people are watching, and as well as videos that are getting people to spend more time on YouTube watching more videos after they watch your video. So how do you do that, right? How do you help Google with that? That's what let's dig into this. A few of these things, a few basic ideas of what could really be helpful in helping you guys do this. And then I also want to talk then about how do we measure these things on our channel to know if these things are actually happening or not. Because Google and their analytics gives you a ton of tools, which we'll talk about. What it really comes down to, at the end of the day, is you need to have engaging content. Like, it just really needs to be rock solid, engaging content. That's the most important thing. Anything else we talk about here today doesn't matter if your content is lame, okay? So what does it mean to have engaging? That sounds like, okay, what does that mean? I think my content's engaging. The way I think about it is that engaging is content that hooks someone's attention and then holds their attention, makes them feel compelled to watch the whole video, and then ideally, has them watch other videos too. But basically, you gotta do it in that order. First, you gotta hook their attention, then get them to watch the whole thing, and then once they watch the whole thing, get them to watch more. Okay, so that's engaging content. This is actually very hard to do. People on YouTube are very ADD. They're very trigger happy to just click on something else. There's a ton of other content they could be spending their time on, and there's nothing prohibiting them from clicking away from your video. So holding people's attention is a lot harder than it looks. You guys, maybe you're like me, like when I watch a good movie and the actors are just killing it, they make it look so easy, don't they? I'm like, oh, I could be an actor. Yeah, that looks easy. Or like, oh, that musician up on stage, like that, they're playing the piano. They look so easy. And I could learn to play the piano and be there maybe like a year or two. No big deal. Same thing with a lot of the YouTube creators that you guys watch. The best ones make it look so easy, and they give us this idea of like, I could do that, right? How many of you guys have watched a YouTube video and you're like, that's all they're doing is they're just like nut shots, and they're like, okay, I could do that and make $1 million, or whatever? I mean, you guys ever thought that? I have, certainly, yeah. So the best ones make it easy. What we don't see are the millions of other people who aren't making it, right? So it's easy to look at those top cream of the crop and they make it look easy. Now, what we're gonna do is talk about some of the things that will help you get there, but this requires a lot of work, and a lot of hard work, a lot of time invested, and a lot of learning, a lot of experimenting, and a lot of changing and morphing over time. So you can totally do it, but I just want you guys to know up front, it's not like, I'll throw up 3 videos and become, the next YouTube star, right? Especially with all that competition. So people are very ADD, and YouTube they've already learned like what that viewer wants to watch, and so they're gonna keep putting content in front of that viewer that has already proven itself to work well, to perform well. That, hey, if we show this video, they're gonna click, they're gonna watch, and then they're gonna watch this video. Like YouTube can map out almost the entire viewing session that person's gonna have based on what videos they show. So they already have a ton of content that's performing well, that is already guaranteed to give them like a result that they want. And your content is probably brand new to them and they don't know too much about it. So it's harder to break through on that. I'm not trying to be discouraging, I'm just giving you guys like a realistic idea of what's going on here. And now I found that this is a skill that takes time to acquire. Over time, you can totally do this, but just like anything, whether it's being an actor, being a musician, being an athlete, whatever, like this is a skill that takes time to acquire and to learn. It takes a lot of practice. And a lot of creators think that like the biggest problem that they have is just exposure. They think that, hey, if I should just get more views, if I would just get a shout out from that person. Some people they'll start doing paid campaigns to start promoting their videos on YouTube. Like, hey, maybe I'll just put some money behind this and it'll start performing well. But if you've tried that, what a lot of creators realize is content doesn't start performing well like just because you put some money on it, right? So it doesn't magically change the content in any way. So there's a lot of things we want to do to get our content performing well organically on its own, and then putting the views and exposure on top will help it grow. But like 97% of the time, I've worked with, I don't even know how many, hundreds of creators personally as clients, but then also like, I don't know, millions through the YouTube channel and the podcast and things like that. I've seen it like almost in every case, just putting money on it and exposure isn't the problem. YouTube, when they find content that works well, they will definitely promote it. And I've worked with many channels that have grown to millions of subscribers in only a few months. So it's definitely possible, but it really comes down to this principle of engaging content. How many of you guys, some of you said you've been doing this for over a year now, right? Raise your hands again. Okay, so those of you guys who've been doing this for over a year, think back to your very first video you published. When you published that video, were you stinking proud of that thing? You're like, yeah, I got a video, that's awesome, everyone should be watching this video. Now here you are a year later, what do you think about your first video? You're like, should I take that down? Like, that's really bad, is that hurting me? Right, same thing's gonna happen with the content you're publishing right now, a year from now, right? So I just want you to have a realistic expectation that you can do this, but it takes time and you'll keep growing and improving. Just like if you look back, you can see you've already grown and improved in a lot of ways. So there's 2 principles I look at that really make for engaging content. I want to dig into both of these with you guys for a second. So they're based on like these main questions almost everybody asks before they consume content. And it doesn't matter if it's YouTube, if it's television, doesn't matter if it's a book, a podcast, radio. In fact, you guys asked yourself these same questions before you came here. And that's why you're here in this session, is because you felt like, I'm in the target audience, like, yes, this is for me, and yes, this is gonna be valuable for me. Okay, those are the 2 things that we think. Is this for me, and is it valuable for me? And do I care? So, is this for me, and do I care? So your videos and your title, your channels, everything need to affirm for that viewer very quickly that yes, this content is for me, I'm in the target audience. So like for you guys, for example, you're here because you're YouTube creators And so you're in the target audience, and you assume, hopefully, and we'll find out, that this session has been valuable for you, right? Because you're not here because you care about Tim Schmoyer. You're not here because you felt like, hey, that guy's gonna feel bad if I'm not at his session. Just like your viewers aren't thinking, you know what, Susie's gonna be upset. Like, I just need to add one extra view count to her video, so I better do that right now. And like, no one's thinking that, right? They're thinking, everyone consumes content selfishly. Now, don't take it personally. I don't. Like, those are important filters for us to have because there's so much noise out there in the world. Like, that's just how we filter out a lot of that noise, which is great. I do it, you do it, it's okay. But it is important to realize that for your viewer, this is what's happening. They're asking these questions. Is this for me, and do I care? So you guys, in order to grow your base, you need to, your videos, your channel need to revolve around these two things. So it can't be like one video would be great for like a mom, the next video would be great for a kid, or maybe you haven't even thought about like who specifically these videos are for. Especially when you're starting out, in order to start growing and gaining momentum, you need to make that new viewer feel like, oh, so glad I found this channel. Like, this is for me. And there's like no one else talking about this or doing it in this way or something. And you gotta hook them and get that like, oh, I feel like this person is talking exactly to me. And the only way to make them feel that way is to design your content specifically for that person so that they feel that way when they watch it. Does that make sense? That process? So it might be difficult for some of you guys. You're thinking like, okay, Tim, this makes sense for like educational channels. But what's the value being proposed in like a vlogging channel or like a gaming channel? Like, why do people care about those? What's the main, like they're just talking about their day. And they actually have a very important value proposition that's kind of under the surface a little bit. And it's primarily a relational value, where people feel like, I feel like this is my friend. I feel like when I watch PewDiePie, we're just hanging out playing video games. You know, I feel like we could be friends in real life if we were hanging out. You know, we have common interests, we have things we connect over, but ultimately at the end of the day, I feel like this person's my friend. And so now when you go downstairs, like after this, throughout today, you'll see all those meet and greet lines. And those people, like these popular YouTube creators will have lines of people waiting to meet them. A lot of the times it's not just because like, oh, you taught me something that was really cool. A lot of the times it's gonna be like, I feel like we are BFFs and I'm meeting my best friend for the first time. That's what the fan is thinking, right? So a high relational value, you should have that in any content you're making, but especially in more entertainment-based type of content. Now the hard thing though is that relationships take, both in real life and online, they just take time to form. Right? Like you don't become instant BFFs just like that. It takes time to hang out with that person, and it's really hard in like an entertainment channel to quickly make someone feel like we have a relationship. So that's like a whole nother level of stuff we could get into. I'll point you to one book called Primal Branding by Patrick Hanlon. What he answers in that book is what has made it possible for some of the top brands in the world to quickly develop a cult-like following. It's like why some people love music bands that have terrible music, but everyone loves them anyway, or why certain movies are popular even though the acting's terrible, or why some YouTube videos have like really poor quality and they're not using any titles or descriptions or tags at all, and yet everyone's watching and you're scratching your head like why? It's often because of this relational value and some of the things that surround that channel beyond just the content itself. And it's like what the content represents for people and things like that. So dig into that book, but knowing both who your target audience is and the value that you propose to deliver to that person is very important. And you will get better over time. Like when you're first starting out, like I'm just being honest, like it's gonna be hard. But as you continue to grow, continue to push, continue to evolve and develop, it'll get better, it'll get easier, and you'll start figuring out, oh, my audience responds to this and not that. Oh, this works, that didn't work, you know? And those types of things. So you'll get better over time as you experiment a lot. So content's first. I could spend a lot of time on that, but I hope you guys get the idea. It doesn't matter how well you optimize anything else if the content itself doesn't hook people, engage them, and keep them watching, okay? And we'll talk about how to measure that a little bit. Next thing you have to consider with the content is the titles, the thumbnails, and the hook. Now, a lot of people separate these. I kind of group them into one category because it doesn't matter how engaging your video is if no one feels enticed to click and watch it, okay? So this is like a little known secret. Some of the top YouTube creators actually spend just as much time crafting their titles and their thumbnails as they do the actual video content itself. Because they understand this principle, right? They can put a ton of time into making this beautiful video that looks, sounds great, is very valuable content, but if no one feels like this is something I want to watch right up front, then no one's going to get to it. Okay, so there's a couple things that that you guys need to consider when you do this. Okay, let's talk through some of these here. Titles, first of all. So the main point of titles, this is something a lot of new creators get wrong, is they optimize primarily for robots, which would be like the YouTube algorithm. So they use all these keyword tools and try to shove all their keywords into a title that looks like it's, now Google knows absolutely everything about my video, and they also feel like, like this has got every keyword in it I need. The problem with that is the things we're talking about, what promotes videos, like Google's goal isn't to promote videos that have perfect keywords in them. What they're trying to do is promote videos that people click and watch. So it's more important to optimize your titles and your thumbnails and everything. Optimize everything more for people rather than robots. So you might have, let's say you have video A and B side by side, and let's say the content, for the sake of the example, exactly the same. But one title isn't as enticing, but it has all your keywords in it. And video A maybe is missing a few keywords, but it has a really strong human element, or teases a story, or just feels more enticing in some way. Which one do you think people will be more likely to click on? Video A, right? Because it has a more human element to it. And so people are more likely to click on that all day long. So keep your keywords in mind when you write your titles, your tags, your descriptions, things like that. But focus primarily on the human element of what's the story that's being teased here, what's the value I'm trying to deliver, and focus more on that. So we're getting a little bit more intermediate to advanced here, but Google can read at like a 6th grade reading level. So they're really, really smart at figuring out what your video is about. Because the problem with the metadata is a lot of people lie. They just do. They feel like, hey, if I put PewDiePie in my tags, now I'm going to get really popular all of a sudden, right? Even though the video has nothing to do with PewDiePie. And so Google kind of takes all the metadata with a grain of salt. They'll position it. But if you have a video about dogs and the thumbnail and the title and everything is about cats, Google will figure out pretty quickly that, hey, we position this for dogs, so that's what it said, but no one with dogs is clicking on it, only the cat people are clicking on it. They'll figure out pretty quickly this is a video about cats, right? So there's another thing also called user intent, and that is when Google, because they can read at a pretty decent level, they can figure out what your content's about even without metadata at all. Because the metadata is the title, the tags, and the description and things. So it's the information you supply to Google about your video. So for example, if you search for music videos on YouTube, one of the top results you'll get is a playlist for Billboard Top 100. Right? So now we can see that's a good example. Yes, that's a relevant result, but it doesn't match any of the keywords. Right? There's not music, there's not videos in it, but Billboard Top 100 is absolutely a relevant result for music videos. That same thing. So I have a video that ranks #1 for how to get more views on YouTube, or 1 and 2, it goes back and forth. But the title is how to grow with 0 views and 0 subscribers. So there's nothing, the word YouTube isn't even in that title, but you can see again how it's a relevant result because it's optimized more for people than it's just for keywords. Make sense? So that's important. Then the same principle applies to the thumbnail. The title has a tease, a really strong value, a story. Same with the thumbnails. Make sure it's a very clear close-up shot, primarily of the action that's happening. So if you're doing a video about boating, don't have a big picture of the ocean with a tiny boat in the middle. Especially your mobile viewers won't be able to see that. Is that a shark? Is that a boat? Is that a swimmer? So get a clear close-up of the action. If it's a story, there should be a boat with something looking like something's about to happen. It makes your viewer wonder, oh, what's happening in narrative-based content. If it's more educational, like how to clean an oar, I don't know, I'm making something up, on your boat, it should be a close-up of a really nasty, dirty, ugly oar, and then maybe with one clean spot scrubbed off, so people can see before and after. This is your problem, I'm gonna help you get this solution in the thumbnail. Does that make sense? So tease that story, that value. Another thing is that the thumbnail must complement the title. They work together. A lot of people, and this is a common mistake, is they'll put the same title of their video in the thumbnail as text. which if your audience can read is kind of redundant and kind of unnecessary. So if you're gonna put text in your thumbnail, make sure it complements the title and the image in some way, not just repeat it, because that's kind of pointless, okay? And as far as the first 15 seconds, a lot of vloggers make this mistake, especially, and gamers do too, but the first 15 seconds of this video needs to tie into the title and the thumbnail. So a lot of people will, they'll put a title and a thumbnail of an event that happens 8 minutes into the video. If you have a really high relational value already in existence with your audience, you can do this. This is why like Casey Neistat and a lot of these bigger guys can put something in their title and thumbnail. It doesn't happen till the end of the video because they're already getting such massive amounts of watch time. It doesn't matter, and because it doesn't matter what they title their titles and how they craft their thumbnails for a lot of their audience, because their audience is going to click and watch anything they do because the relational value and the trust is already built so high. Right? So it's hard to start there though to imitate what they're doing. Instead, you got to hook them. So you got to say, like, if your title and thumbnail is about how to clean a boating oar, that can't come 8 minutes in the video. You got to start that video. That entire video, if you're vlogging, needs to be about that story. Starting with a strong hook from the very beginning. If you're a DIY channel, you can't just start at like the sewing part. If it's like sewing, it has to start like, here's the end result that you're gonna get. Now let me show you how to do it. It's gotta be a really strong hook because the title and the thumbnail set the viewer up for some kind of expectation. And then you need to affirm in the mind for that viewer right away to hook them that yes, the value you clicked expecting to get in this video is coming. So that you hook their attention and so that they're more likely to keep watching. Let's see here. One other little tip with this that I highly recommend, especially if you guys are starting out, is before you even start shooting your videos, let me ask you this. How many of you guys shoot your videos and figure out the title and the thumbnail is going to be? How many of you guys figure out the title and thumbnail before you start shooting? Okay, a few of you. Okay, some of you guys don't know what you're doing. You're just like, titles and thumbnails, what are that? I highly recommend that you, before you even start shooting your video, whether it's vlogging, gaming, tutorial, DIY, education, whatever, is you already know in your head, this is the title and the thumbnail that this video is gonna have. That's the only, like I shouldn't say the only, but that's the best way to then be able to start your video pitching like that, to connect it directly to the title and the video, right? So if you just start your video and then later add a title and thumbnail onto it, like you're trying to figure out like, what was the story here? I don't really know. And like, it kind of works, you know? So title and thumbnail before you start shooting. And then once you already know what that is in your head, open up your video in a way that you know is going to tie directly into that. So that you can, once that viewer clicks, they already know. The other thing that lets you do is you can then pose and set up whatever you need to set up to get a perfectly optimized title. Rather than shooting the video and trying to take a still frame somewhere from the video and stitch it all together. Instead, like if you're vlogging and my wife's going shopping with 6 little kids and the title is Mom Shops Alone with 6 Little Kids, for example, that teases a story, then we know the thumbnail that she needs to do is a picture of all the kids hanging out of the grocery cart. Okay, so she'll put all of them there. She's like, all right, back up with the camera, take the picture of all them hanging out, and then that's the thumbnail. And she also knows that video, we can't start it like waking up in the morning, eating breakfast, all that stuff. That video, that vlog needs to start at the grocery store with her getting the kids into the cart. Make sense? And that hooks the viewer in that story to keep them watching. They're like, what kind of mom would do this? And only a super mom would, you know? And it's a fun video for me. Maybe not for her. And then one little bonus tip for this, and this is also maybe a little bit more intermediate, but I recommend that once you have like a few ideas of videos you want to do, just do some simple research first and see how those videos are already performing on YouTube. So in an incognito window, this is important, or a private, like don't do it when you're logged in because all your previous viewing history and searches and everything will be taken into consideration based on your search query, and YouTube will deliver results based on that. So in an incognito or private window when you're not logged in, just search for, like if you're gonna do a video, just search for that title and see what comes up. And just learn some things from what you find there. Oh, okay, I was gonna do this video, but like the top one has 200 views on it, so I'm probably not gonna do that one, but here's this other idea I have, and this one's getting like 1 million views almost. I'm gonna do that second idea. I'm probably gonna forget about the first one. Unless that's a really important video to you and your audience, then absolutely still do it. But if your goal is to make discoverable content, just do a little bit of research. What titles and thumbnails are people already using? What does their first 15 seconds look like? Pay attention to how many subscribers the channel has and how many views the video has. So if this channel has like millions of subscribers and it has 500,000 views, you're like, okay, well that's why. Like that's not a good idea. But if the channel has 100 subscribers and the video has 500,000 views, then you're like, oh, okay. So this video is performing beyond the audience on this channel. This might be something worth more looking at and considering that as something I should imitate. Make sense? Good. Okay, so that's really important. The next thing to consider here is, so we talked about how you get the person to watch, click to watch, how you can hook their attention, do valuable content to keep them watching, and then the call to action is what happens at the end. And this is how do you get the viewer to take the action you want them to take as a result of watching your video. And so when they get to that ending part, what you want them to do obviously is maybe a few different things. I recommend absolutely no more than 2 call to actions. So don't do this like follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook, comment below, subscribe to my channel, check out my website, sign up for my email list. I don't even know. Like don't do all, people are gonna, if you do 1, that's most effective. If you do 2, that's okay. If you do, studies have shown, if you do 3 or more, no one does any of them, okay? So you need to keep it short, make it like the path that you want viewers to take after your video needs to be very clear. So the 2 that I usually use is, the first call to action is me talking to my existing subscriber base, and I say like, hey, if you're trying to grow your audience on YouTube, what else have you learned has really been helpful for you? Comment with that below. I want to learn from you guys. And the rest of you guys, if you're trying to learn this right now, read those comments. You'll learn a ton from those people down there. And then I say, and if this is your first time here, this is call to action number 2. If this is your first time here, I would love to have you subscribe because, and then I go to a quick little pitch for the channel, which is because here at Video Creators, we're all about just helping you guys grow a YouTube audience so you can reach people and change their lives. And that's it, okay? So the reason I said, if this is your first time here, what am I doing there when I say that? Who am I hooking? The new target audience, right? So I'm going back, so those people feel like, oh, I'm first time here. Oh, I'm new. I feel like he's talking to me now. And so maybe they were about to click away, but when I say that, they're like, oh, he's talking to me. Like you capture their attention again. And you say, if this is your first time here, I'd love to have you subscribe, call to action, and then a quick little pitch. Because, and then you pitch the value proposition of your channel. You can't take a minute to do that. We'll talk about why in a second. Just like real quickly, the what and the why. I teach people how to master YouTube, that's the what. The why it matters, why should you care? Because this is a great opportunity to reach people and change their lives. And a lot of people don't believe that with me. That's like maybe a more intermediate to advanced thing, but when the strongest communities, both online and offline, they actually don't revolve around common interests. They actually revolve around shared beliefs, right? So there's a lot of people who don't believe that with me. Oh no, I want to master YouTube so I can feel popular. Oh no, I just want to make money. Oh, I'm more about extracting value from people. Well, no one says it like this, right? But if we're going to be honest, I'm more about extracting value from people than I am in giving value to people. And those people, they're not on my channel, and that's great. They don't have to be a part of my community because my goal isn't to grow the biggest channel. My goal is to serve the people who really care and believe what I believe, and will do this to make a big impact in the world. So those people, when they hear that, they're going to be more likely to connect with me and my channel because of that shared belief than they are someone else who says, I'm going to teach you how to master YouTube because you're going to make a lot of money. And those people, great, go to that channel, right? So it depends on what your goals are. My goals are not to grow a large audience. That's like our family's vlogging channel. We have a specific audience. It's not ever going to be huge. So people, look like, oh, how come your audience is real small? Well, because we're going after this audience, and that's only a small part of YouTube compared to like 8 to 12-year-old girls, for example. If you're vlogging, go there if you want a lot of views. Okay, I'm just kind of going off, but yes, that belief statement is really important for that call to action. So a few things to consider with these call to actions. Number 1 is these end screens. YouTube has this feature called end screen elements. And what they do is in the final 20 seconds of your video, you can add interactive pieces on your video to either subscribe, click and watch another video. How many of you guys know what I'm talking about? Do I need to? Okay, most of you. If you don't, just go to your, click on the drop down in your video manager next to your video and go down to call to, or end screens or end cards, I think it's called. And then you can add interactive elements to the final 20 seconds of your video. If you can get people through your entire video and then get them to that screen, if they click and watch, they are the #1 most valuable source of watch time on your channel from an average view duration perspective. So people usually try to get search, like, hey, I want my videos to be highly searchable, and that's fine. You can get a lot of traffic that way, but that's actually the least valuable on a typical channel, the least valuable like traffic source from an average view duration perspective. Because these people are just searching for something. How do I do this? How do I do that? They're skipping through your video, get to the thing that they want so they can go fix the thing that they're on. They leave YouTube after that. Right? So they're like half the amount of watch time as someone who gets to the end of your video, clicks the end screen to continue on to another video and keep watching. So it's really important that you get people to those end screens where you can then feature more videos and get them to watch another video. And this 15-second thing is really important. So if you only have 20 seconds to show this, what happens, you think, if you're like wrapping up your call to actions, you're thanking people for watching, blah, 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 and then you show them? How effective do you think you're gonna be? Not at all, yeah. Because everyone's already abandoned your video. As soon as people feel like this video is over and you're giving some of those signals to the viewer, like you're saying things like, hey, thanks for watching my video, or I hope this video is helpful for you, or like anything like that, it's like, boom, video's over, I'm out, no more value coming, like I can safely abandon this video. So what I recommend is you got 20 seconds, the first 5 seconds of that 20 seconds should be you like still delivering the values, wrapping up your story, doing the content, whatever. And then the last 15 seconds, your end cards are gonna come on at that first 5 seconds while people are still watching. That means you have 15 seconds then to do your call to actions, which, you know, pick 1 or 2, and that 15 seconds should be plenty of time. That way people are still watching when your end screens come on. So a few different ways to do that, practically speaking. The way I do it in my videos is while I'm still delivering content, I take the whole video and I zoom up to a corner, and then around the videos when the interactive elements show up. Or if you're using video editing software that doesn't support that type of editing, if you're holding the camera looking at yourself, just know, like, okay, if this is my last shot, I got 20 seconds, I'm just gonna put me on one side of the frame so that the other side of the frame is left open, because I know I'm gonna put parts there so it's not covering up my face when I edit this and put it up on YouTube, okay? Real simple, but getting people to that and using those final 15 seconds to do your call to actions and wrapping all that up. Let's talk about oh shoot, we're running out of time. Let's look at one final thing here as far as, now we're talking about extending the viewing session. And playlists are a very important tool for this, but a lot of people get this wrong, as they think about playlists primarily as a tool for organizing content. So they'll put like one playlist called vlogs, and another playlist called games, and another playlist called makeup or whatever, right? Would you guys ever title your videos vlogs like that? Like, no. Okay, so think about playlists instead. The primary goal is not just to organize content, but to get people to watch a series of videos of yours. To get people into playlist mode so they not watch not only one video, but another video and another video and another video. So to do this, that means you can't have playlists that have 200 videos in them, because people are gonna see that and be like, I ain't got time for this, I'm out, right? So a few things you should consider with your playlists is, one, keep the viewing size manageable, maybe around 6 videos if they're long, maybe 12 videos max if they're short, so that people see like, oh, there's 6 videos in here, I got time for that, you know, I can watch this playlist. Also, title them in the way you would a video. Make it enticing, tease the story, pitch the value of that playlist, so when people get into that playlist, they feel like, I need to watch this whole series, not just, oh, this happens to be all their vlogs in one place. You'll get way more watch time in your YouTube analytics on those playlists and session watch time by doing it like this. And then promote the heck out of them. Once you've optimized them, promote them. Like, put them as interactive cards in your audience retention graphs. You guys know what those are on YouTube? No? Oh, we'll talk about them in a second. But right before YouTube indicates that people are abandoning your video, maybe like a few seconds before that, put an interactive card to a playlist, because they're probably thinking about clicking away right about then, and catch them with another opportunity to go watch something else. So put them in interactive cards, put them in your end screens. You can, those end cards we were talking about, you can put like videos, recent video, best for viewer, let YouTube optimize what video on your channel they should promote to that viewer. You can put playlists and things like that. So get them into those playlists. Put in the video description links to some of your playlists to get more opportunities for people just to get into that playlist mode as much as possible and watch multiple videos, not just one, and then move on to someone else's video. That will help a lot. All right, final 5 minutes here. Let's talk about, how do we measure this? How do we know how we need to improve, where the areas are for better optimization, what you're doing well on, how you're not doing well on? Like, how do you know if this stuff is working for you? And YouTube Analytics, fortunately, is jam-packed with a lot, like a ton. Like Google, like they're full of engineers and they just love data, even though they sometimes don't know what the data means. They're just like, well, this is a piece of information. They're really good at highlighting data. They need to work somewhere on giving meaning to the data, but that's what keeps me employed. So it's my job to do that. So watch time, obviously, this is like a front and center part of your dashboard when you log into youtube.com/analytics. On the left side there, you see that red bar is on watch time. And it'll just show you, this is how you're doing, right at the top, watch time minutes. And that's, they don't highlight views as much now as they do watch time. Is your watch time going up? Is your watch time going down? This is, you set the date range and look at how the trajectory is going. In this case, it's a little bit flat, but but something that, okay, it's up and down. What are these spikes? What's getting more watch time? What's not? How do we maybe get those spikes to kind of, there's a lot you can do with that graph. But, and then down at the bottom, you can see how individual videos are performing as well. Another thing along with this, though, this is probably a little bit more practical, is watch time. So under the audience retention. So on the left side, right under watch time, there's that metric called audience retention. And this is a graph that shows you exactly how viewers are responding to your video. So if you guys have ever had comments like, oh, I love your channel. I don't know why you don't have more subscribers. Everyone should be watching your videos. You're like, thank you. I'm glad that you like them. If more people liked it, then there would be more people here. But a lot of the times is like, let's just be honest, if there's a high relational value, people lie, like they just do. Like this is your best video ever because they really care about you. And so they say things like that, but the data doesn't lie. So you can see in this video, within the first 10 seconds, he lost maybe 20% of his audience. Boom, just like that. So, okay, we need to work, what happened that first was what was wrong with the hook? What was the title and the thumbnail? How did the hook not capture that viewer's attention as well? And that's actually pretty decent. Actually, 20% is like average, if you're getting anywhere between like 30, especially 50%, you've got something major you need to work on. But then they kind of, they stayed, but then it goes up. What's happening when it goes up again? Does anybody know? They're what?
They're going back to that one.
Yep, they could be watching that one spot more, or they might see the beginning, okay, he's just like, this isn't a great hook, but they can just scrub across the video and see where like the action happens. So they're just skipping ahead to that part, and that's when it goes up. So I have a good example of that, but I don't have time to share it. But that's what's happening there. And then you can see, I would want to know, go to the video at 3 minutes and 24 seconds, what's happening at this point that causes everyone to leave the video. Okay, so I highly recommend you go back and you start analyzing these graphs over like all your videos, but especially if you have tons of videos, just take like the most recent 20. And what you want to do is look for patterns. So I worked with one guy and he discovered that anytime he said the word module in his videos, bloop, people would leave. And he's like, all he did is stop saying the word module, and his audience retention went up. He started getting more watch time. His videos started performing. It's not always as cut and dry as that, but those are the types of things you're looking for. So like I know in my family's videos, my wife and I talk for any longer than like 12 seconds, people start abandoning. Unless we add B-roll on top, which is like other photos, so we can keep talking, but we're showing something else while we're talking. Then that will keep them engaged. So I know that anytime we start fading in music at the end, if people think, oh, this must be over soon, then they leave. Things like that, you're just going to start learning over time as you do this, as you start studying this, so that you can hook the viewer and hold their attention longer and longer. So that's really important. As far as what to look for extending the session time, which is how do we get people to watch more videos, there's not a whole lot of great data in analytics about this. There are two things you can kind of look at. One is, I don't have a screenshot for it, but if you're looking at YouTube Analytics, in the upper top left corner, there's a little drop-down menu. By default, it says videos. Just click it and you can switch it to playlists, and then all your analytics apply to playlists, which is amazing. Most people don't even look at their playlist analytics. And in there, you can see a ton. So a few things we can watch here, the average view duration, average time spent in the playlist. We can see how it's performing over time and the average watch time in the playlist at the bottom. All the way on the right, it's really tiny, you can't really see it that well, but you can see the average view duration of each video in this playlist. You can see the exit play rate. or the playlist exit rate, so you can see how does this video contribute to someone abandoning this playlist. And so if you're going through that and you see that, oh, here's like, they're all like 50%, but this video is at like 80% abandonment, causes people to abandon the video, maybe you want to take that video out, replace it with a different video, and further optimize those playlists to keep people in that playlist as long as possible. Another way to look at it is your session. You can look at your session time in your suggested videos under traffic sources. And if you have a high suggested videos, that means that your video is likely contributing to a viewing session, because the way someone got to that video is because they clicked it because it was suggested next to another video they were watching. So the only way to get that suggested traffic is if someone was watching someone else's video and then they came over to yours. Right? So having a high suggested video traffic source is really helpful. And then the other traffic source to look at as far as session starts are concerned, and this is like, how does my video contribute to getting people to come back to YouTube? One, having a posting schedule is really important, because otherwise people don't know like when to come back and watch another video of yours. The only reason they watch another video of yours then is if they came back to watch someone else's content and they accidentally stumbled upon yours. So there's a reason why television programs are scheduling, so that you know when to sit on your couch and turn on the TV. So doing that with your content is also helpful for doing these session starts. But under traffic sources, then you click on browse features, and then under browse features at the bottom, there's a thing called homepage. And so if your videos are bringing people back to YouTube, where they come specifically to watch your new videos, that homepage traffic source should be pretty high. You should be having a lot of people who are watching your videos because YouTube's suggesting it there, and YouTube will keep suggesting it there if it's performing well, because people are coming back looking for your content. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that your video is, starting everyone's viewing session, but it is a strong indicator that people are coming back wanting to watch your videos. I hope that was helpful for you guys. I want to tell you about a resource that I created just for you guys to help you turn your YouTube channel into the most subscribable channel possible. And it's called an ebook I created called 30 Days to a Better YouTube Channel. And in that ebook, every day for 30 days, you're going to work on your YouTube channel on a specific task to achieve a specific goal. So every day in that book includes a teaching, something you need to know. And then number 2, it includes some tasks, something you need to do on your channel right then. And then at 3, it also includes links to further resources if you really want to dive in and really dig into that area of that the ebook is teaching on that specific day. You can download the first few days for free at the link in the description below and just check it out, see if it's right for you or not. I'd love to hear from the rest of you guys, if you have gone through that book, how it has helped you. You can get it at videocreators.com. It's called 30 Days to a Better YouTube Channel. And I'm looking forward to hearing from all you guys in the comments of this video, of course, about any questions or thoughts or feedback you have about this presentation, about getting discovered on YouTube. And of course, if this is your first time here, I would love to have you subscribe. This channel is all about helping you guys grow your YouTube audience so you can spread a message that reaches people and changes their life. Thank you for letting me be a small part of that. Subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next week for another YouTube training video. See you then. Bye. I hope that was helpful for you guys. I can't talk when she's talking. I hope that was helpful for you guys. I want to let you know about a resource I put together to really help you turn your channel into the most subscribable YouTube channel that you can possibly create. It's called